Sai Ram class, how are you all? Today we will start our new chapter, chapter number 12, Algebraic Expressions. For this, let's start from exercise 12.1 and we will get to know about algebraic expression with the upcoming questions. So let's start with question number 1. So the first question is, get the algebraic expression for the following cases using variable. Now first of all we have to recall what is variable. Variable means whose value is not fixed and whose value is varying or vary means which is not fixed. Now the second thing is, what is constant? Constant means fixed, means whose value is fixed. Whose value is fixed. For example, 2. The number 2 has a fixed value which is 2. For example, 4. Number 4 has a fixed value which is 4. Whereas in variable, let's take x as a variable. We do not know the exact value of x. It could be 1, 2, minus 1, minus 2, minus 15 according to the expression we have given. So let's start finding out the expression for the following parts of question number 1. Now the first is subtraction of z from y. First is subtraction of z from y. Means we have to subtract z from y. So the expression will be y minus z. Okay class, let's move on to the next one. 1/2 of the sum of numbers x and y means the first thing we have to focus on is sum of the number x and y, means the addition of x and y, and now we have to find the 1/2 of their sum. So that means 1 upon 2 multiplying with x plus y, that is x plus y upon 2. Next part is the number z multiplied by itself, means z is multiplying with itself, that is z into z, or we can write it as z square. Okay. Next is 1/4 of the product of numbers q and p, means first we have to find the product of p and q. We can write it as PQ, and then we have to find the 1/4 of their product, that means 1 upon 4 multiplying with PQ, that is we can write it as PQ upon 4. Okay. Next is numbers x and y both squared and added. First we have to square them. Then we have to add their squares, that is x square plus y square. Number 5 added to 3 times the product of number m and n. So we have to start from the backward. So the product of number m n, that means m n, and we have to take 3 times of the product of their, 3 times of their product, that means 3mn. Then number 5 is added to their product, that means 3mn plus 5. Now the next is product of numbers y and z, means product of y and z subtracted from it is subtracting from 10. Okay. YZ, the product of YZ is subtract from 10. Okay, you have to keep in mind that from means we have to write 10 in front and the product of Y and Z in after the sign of minus. Next is sum of numbers A, B, sum of A, B subtracted from, their sum is subtracted from their product, that is AB minus A plus B. The sum of AB is subtracting from their product, that is AB minus A plus B. Okay. So the main and the most important part is we have to focus on language and we have to try to understand what they want to say. Only then we can make the perfect expression. Now let's move on to the next part, that is terms and factors of an expression. Now first we have to understand that what is term in an expression and what is the factor of a term in an expression. So you can see an example here. This is an expression which is 4 multiplying with x square minus 3xy. So first we have to focus on term, that is how many terms we have in this expression. So you can see here we can separate the terms in an expression with the help of operation. So you can see here in this given expression we have two terms. The first one is 4x square and the second one is 3xy. Now the second important part we have to focus is that we also have to focus on their sign. So with 4x square we have positive sign, so it will be write as only 4x square. Whereas with 3xy we have sign negative. So our second term is negative 3xy. Again, in an expression we can divide, we can separate terms with the help of operation. So you can see here according to this expression we have only two terms here. The first one is 4x square and the second one is minus 3xy. Now let's come to the factors. Factors means that we can combine 4x and x with multiplication sign to form this term. So this 4 and these 2x are termed as their factor. You can see in another example, here we are multiplying minus 3, x and y to form this term. So these three are the factor of minus 3xy. Same as in case of number, means integer. For example, if I am asking you the factor of 4, so you can write as 2 into 2. These are the factor of 4, or you can write as 1 into 4. Okay. Similarly, we have factors for these terms. You can see more example. The second example is 5xy plus 10. So here we have two terms. That is, the first one is 5xy and the second one is 10. So the factor of 5xy is 5x and y, or the factor and the factor of 10 you can write it as 1 into 10. Okay. Now let's start the questions based on terms and factors. So the question number 2 is, first part, identify the term and their factors in the following expression, and we have to show the term and factors by tree diagram as we saw in this example. So let's start. So the first part is expression we have x minus 3. So here we have two terms, x, and the second one is minus 3. So for x we can write factor as 1 into x, and for minus 3 we can write as minus 1 into 3. The second is 1 plus x squared. So here we have three terms. Okay, you can see here the first one is 1, the second term is x, and the third is x square. And the factor for 1 could be 1 into 1. For the factor of x could be 1 into x, and the factor of x square is x into x. Similarly, in C part we have two terms, y and y cube. So for y you can write factor 1 into y, and for y cube, that is, it is negative y, okay? Negative y cube, because we have negative sign with y cube. So the factors are minus 1, y, and y, because here we have cube as power of y. So we have to write 3 y's in factors. Now the next one is 5xy square, and the second term is 7x square y. So here we have factors 5x and 2y, because we have square in y. And in the second term we have 7, 2x and y. Similarly, you can see the last part, we have three terms, minus ab, 2b square and minus 3a square. So the factors are minus 1 ab, for the second term the factors are 2 and bb, and the factor of third term is minus 1, 3 and a. I hope this is clear to you all. Now the second part of second question is quite similar. In this we have to find term and factor. Again the same thing, but here we can write it in tabular form. We do not have to show in tree diagram. So let's see the solution of second part. So the first expression is minus 4x plus 5. So here we have two terms, that is minus 4x and 5. So for minus 4x we have factor minus 4 and x, and for 5 we have factor 5, or you can write it as 5 and 1. For the second expression minus 4x plus 5y, we have two terms, minus 4x and the second term is 5y. The factor of first term is minus 4 and x, and the factor of second term is 5 and y. Similarly, you can see all the other parts. We did in first part. You can see the factor for the last part. We have three terms, 1.2 ab, second term is minus 2.4b, and the third term is 3.6a. So the factor for 1.2 ab is 1.2a and b. Factor for minus 2.4b is minus 2.4 and b, and the factor of 3.6a is 3.6 and a. Okay. Now you can see the other parts also. And I hope this is very clear to you all. Where we have square power, where in that place we have to put the same variable 2 times, and where we have cube in power, here we have to write 3 times. Okay. Now let's move on to the other part of the same question. The two last parts are 3 by 4x plus 1 by 4. So here we have two terms. The first one is 3 by 4x and the second term is 1 by 4. So the factor of this is 3 by 4 and x, and the factor of 1 by 4 is 1 by 4 and 1. Similarly, the two terms in the last part is, the first one is 0.1 p square. So its factor is 0.1 p and p, and for the second term, which is 0.2 q square, the factors are 0.2 q and q. Okay. Now the another important thing in this chapter is coefficient. Now you have to focus on that what is coefficient. So look at this table. In first part, we have expression xy plus 4. If we take a term in which we have variables also, means which is not constant. So here you can see that we have two terms. The first is xy and the second is 4. The 4 is a constant, so we have to leave it. So we can take term x and y. Now the numerical coefficient for x and y is 1. How? Now focus on this. We have x and y. If we have to write its factors, so we will write as 1, x and y. Now x and y are variables. So the numerical coefficient is 1 only. If it will be like 4xy, then its factors will be 4x and y. Okay. Now these two are variables. So the numerical coefficient is 4 only. This is the numerical coefficient for this term. Okay. Let's see more example to understand this. Now focus on the second part, which is 13 minus y square. So 13 is a constant, so we will leave it. So the second term is minus y square. Now focus on minus y square. We have how many factors? Minus 1, y and y. So these two are variables. So our numerical coefficient is minus 1. Okay. Minus 1 is the numerical coefficient for the term minus y square. Now focus on another examples. Here we have 13 as constant, so we will leave it. The second term is minus y and the third term is 5y square. Now focus on only constant factor of the term. Now the constant factor of term minus y is minus 1 and the constant factor of 5y square is 5. Okay, that means the constant factor of a term is termed as numerical coefficient. Let's look at the last part also. We have 4p square q minus 3pq square and 5 is constant. Now for 4p square q, if you will find its factors, so its factors will be 4p square q. We have 4 factors, 4, p, and q. Now you have to focus only on constant factor. So you can see here the only constant factor is 4. So that means 4 is the numerical coefficient for this term. Similarly in second term, minus 3 is the numerical coefficient, means numerical factor. So it is the numerical coefficient. This is the case where we have to find the numerical coefficient only. Now what we have to find the coefficient for a particular given variable. For example, in this table we have to find the coefficient of x only. So let's see, the expression is 4x minus 3y. Now if we have to find the coefficient of x only, so we will take that term only in which we have x as a factor. So you can see here in the second term we do not have x, so we will leave it. So the only term we will take is 4x. Now for 4x, the factors are 4 and x. Now we have to find the coefficient of x, so we have to leave it and the remaining other factors will be its coefficient. That means 4 is the coefficient of x. Let's see the another example. 8 minus x plus y. Here we have only one term in which we have x as factor, which is minus x. Now for minus x, the factors are minus 1 and x. So we have to find out the coefficient of x. So we have to leave it and the remaining other factors are its coefficient. So that means the coefficient of x is minus 1. Now let's see the third part, so you will be more clear about it. Now in this expression we have y square x as the term in which x is a factor. So now we have to find the factor of y square x. So it will be y and x. Now we have to find the coefficient of x. So that means we have to leave it and the other remaining factors are its coefficient. That means the coefficient of x in y square x is y square. Okay. Let's see one more example so it will be more clear. In the last expression we have minus 5xz as term in which x is a factor. So its coefficient will be minus 5 and z. Means we have to leave the given particular alphabet or variable and we have to take all other factors as its coefficient. Okay. Now let's start doing questions based on this so things will be more clear. So the third question of first exercise is identify the numerical coefficient of term other than constant. Okay, so it is the same as we discussed in first part. Now the first expression is 5 minus 3t square. So the first term is 5, second term is minus t square. So the numerical coefficient for 5 is 5 and numerical coefficient for minus 3t square is minus 3. In second expression we have 4 terms 1, t, t square and t cube. And for all these the numerical coefficient is 1. Similarly the third part is we have 2 terms x and 2 and the numerical coefficient for x is 1 and numerical coefficient for 2 is 2. As this is the constant only, so we can leave it. Now in the next expression we have 100m and 1000n as terms. So the numerical coefficient for 100m is 100 and numerical coefficient for 1000n is 1000. Numerical coefficient means we have to take the constant part or the constant factor as the numerical coefficient. Now the second expression, the term is minus p square q square and the second term is 7pq. So the factor means the constant factor in minus p square q square is minus 1. So it is the numerical coefficient for minus p square q square and 7 is the numerical coefficient in case of 7pq. Now you can see the other parts. In 1.2a the numerical coefficient is 1.2. In 1.8b the numerical coefficient is 1.8. And in this expression we have only one term and its numerical coefficient is 3.14. Now we have 2l plus b. If we solve it we will have 2l plus 2b. So that means we have two terms 2l and 2b. So the factor, the constant factor for 2l is 2 and constant factor for 2b is 2. And in the last part we have 0.1 as numerical coefficient for 0.1 y and 0.01 as numerical coefficient of 0.01 y square. Now the fourth question is we have to identify the coefficient for x and in the second part we have to identify the coefficient of y square. So let's have a quick look for the A part. Here we have to take only that term which contains x. So here we have y square x. So the coefficient of x is y square. In the second expression we have minus 8 y x. So the coefficient for x is -8 and y. In the third expression, we have only one term which contains y, which contains x, which is x, and its numerical coefficient, that is coefficient is 1. Similarly, for fourth part, we have only zx, so its coefficient is z. And in the fifth part, we have x and xy, so the coefficient of x in x is 1 and coefficient of x in xy is y. In the next part, we have 12x y square and the coefficient of x is 12 y square. And the last part, we have two terms in which we have x. One is 7x and the second is xy square. And coefficient of 7x, the coefficient of x in 7x is 7 and the coefficient of x in xy square is y square. Now have a look that how we can find the coefficient of y square. So we have to take only that term in which we have y square. So for the first expression, we have minus xy square and the coefficient of y square is minus x. Similarly, in next expression, we have only one term which is 5y square and its coefficient is 5. And in the last expression, we have only one term where we have y square which is minus 15xy square, so its coefficient is minus 15x. Okay. Now the next is monomial, binomial, trinomial and polynomial. So as the term suggests, monomial, mono means one, in which we have only one term, that expression is termed as monomial. Second is binomial, bi means two. That means in that expression we have two unlike terms. Unlike means which have different variables. Okay, like and unlike terms we will discuss in second class. Trinomial, in where we have three unlike terms. Poly means the expression where we have more than three unlike terms. Now the next question, which is question number 5, is based on classify monomial, binomial and trinomial. So let's do it. Monomial means where we have only one term. Okay, you can see the example of monomials. And binomial, where we have two terms, you can see here, and these two should be unlike terms. You can see 4y have y as variable and minus 7z has z. So these two are not like, so that means these two terms could be termed as unlike terms. In the second, you can see here, the first is constant and the second one is minus 3t. These two are unlike terms, that means it is also an example of binomial. And the next is we have p square q and the second is pq square. You can see here we have 2p, here we have only 1p. Here we have 1q, here we have 2q. So we can say that these two terms are unlike terms. So that means this is also an example of binomial. Next is a square plus b square. We have two terms, so that means it is an example of binomial. Next is z square and z. Here we have square of z. Here z is in single power. So these two are unlike terms, so it is an example of binomial. Tri means we have three unlike terms, x, y and xy. So it is an example of trinomial. AB, a and b. Now you can see here AB means the product of a and b. And here we have a singular and here we have b singular. So these three could be termed as unlike terms. Next is z square, z, and the third is constant 1, x and x square. So these all are the example of trinomial. Now about like and unlike terms we will discuss in our next class. Till then you have to revise, you have to understand all these things we had discussed in today's class. that is constant, variable, monomial, binomial, trinomial, coefficient, terms and their factors. Till then, thank you class.